We all been through something profound and scary. But we're not the only ones, or the first who experienced it. Our past as humanity goes back 6,000 years, and through that 6,000 years, we have been through this, again and again. First known one was 3,300 years ago at the city of Meggido, which is in today's Israel. At an archaeological site at Tel Meggido, they discovered a mass grave containing the remains of over 200 people. The skeletons show signs of a violent death and some signs of disease. The dating of the mass grave is thought to be from the late Bronze Age, around 1350 BC. This was a time of great unrest in the region. It was the period of the collapse of the Hittite Empire and rise of the Sea Peoples. It is possible that the plague was a part of this larger period of unrest. The identity of the plague is also unknown, but it is thought to have been a highly contagious disease that killed quickly. Then there was Plague of Athens, also known as Athenian Plague, a devastating epidemic that struck the city of Athens in 430 BC. It was during the second year of the Peloponnesian War. It is estimated that the plague killed 1/3 to 1/2 of the Athenian population, including the statesman Pericles. The exact cause of the plague is unknown, but it is thought to have been a combination of factors, including overcrowding, poor sanitation, and a weakened population due to war. The plague spread rapidly through the city, and its symptoms were severe, just like its impact on Athens, both socially and economically. The city's infrastructure and the economy were severely disrupted, and the death of Pericles left a void in Athenian leadership. The plague also had a big impact on the Athenian culture, leading to a decline in moral and rise in superstition. It eventually subsided after 4 years, but its effects were felt for many years. The plague also had a significant impact on the course of the Peloponnesian War, and it contributed to eventual decline of Athens as a major power. And 600 years later, there was Antonine Plague. It was an epidemic that occurred during the Roman Empire. It is thought to have originated in China and spread to the Roman Empire via trade routes. It had a devastating impact on the empire. It caused widespread economic disruption and social unrest. The plague also weakened the Roman army and made it more difficult to defend the empire's borders. There are a number of factors that contributed to the spread of the Antonine Plague. The Roman Empire was vast with a large trade route network. This made it easy for the plague to spread quickly from one region to another. Roman Empire also had a large population, which also made it easy for the disease to affect many people in relatively short time. It is estimated that Antonine Plague killed approximately 10 million people, or about 25% of the mighty Roman Empire's population. And almost 600 years after that, at year 735, the Japanese smallpox devastated the island. It is believed to have been the first major smallpox epidemic in Japan. The epidemic began in the city of Dazaifu on the island of Kyushu. It is believed to have been brought to Japan by a shipwrecked fisherman who contracted the disease on the Korean peninsula. It spread rapidly through Kyushu, and in less than a year, it reached the capital city of Nara. Millions of people died, and the economy was severely damaged. Many farms were abandoned, and there was a widespread famine. The epidemic also had a major impact on Japanese culture. Many Buddhist temples were built in an attempt to appease the gods and stop the spread of the disease. It also have contributed to the decline of Nara period and the rise of Heian period. That outbreak killed 1/3 of the population of Japan. And the Black Death, also known as the Great Pestilence, or simply the Plague. The plague found its way to the Mediterranean by the trade routes like most others do. Then following those routes, it landed on 13th century Europe. It was the perfect timing for it to thrive. The food was poor and unhealthy. There were almost no health services for the vast majority of the people. The medical science was like a jumble of guesses, poor observation, and lots of superstition. The plague's culprit was this. This is called Yersinia pestis. It's a tough-as-nails bacteria that can travel from host to host in a fast pace, riding fleas. The lack of sanitation and hygiene, unhealthy diet, and closely packed society, who knows almost nothing about healthcare, was the perfect feeding ground for the deadly virus. And that scary symbol of the Black Death, the crow-faced mysterious man, they were actually the good guys. They were the doctors who was trying to fight the disease wearing the now symbolic mask made from leather and wax. The beak was filled with a variety of herbs and spices, including lavender, rosemary, and cloves. These herbs were believed to purify the air and protect the wearer from infection, which mostly didn't work. Plague doctors also wore other protective gear, such as long gloves, boots, and robe. The entire outfit was designed to create a barrier between the doctor and the patient, and it was the grandfather of today's hazmat suits. The plague spread fast and devastated whole Europe. Trade almost stopped, which made things worse for people who was trying to survive. Even wars were temporarily abandoned. Many laborers died. Production stopped because there was nobody to sow and reap. The nobility lost the power while medium class became important. The church was unable to provide effective relief during the plague. This led to a decline in the church's authority and prestige. Social unrest and violence exploded. The plague killed almost 150 million people until it fades out. And very interestingly, almost 600 years after that, there was the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu was an exceptionally deadly influenza pandemic that occurred in the 1920s, caused by the H1N1 influenza A virus. The pandemic infected an estimated 500 million people worldwide, about 1/3 of the population of the world, and caused millions of deaths. One of the reasons of the virus's rapid spread was the movement of troops of World War I. The Spanish flu was unusual in several ways. It was highly contagious and had a mortality rate of approximately 3%, which is much higher than the typical mortality rate for common influenza. The virus also affected young adults, especially between age 20 and 30. Spanish flu had a devastating impact on the world. It caused widespread social and economic disruption, and it led to a decline in life expectancy to under 40 in many countries. The power of vaccination and importance of social distancing are the measures we learned from the Spanish flu. It affected almost half of the world, both politically and economically. There are many more pandemics spread between all those which I mentioned. 12 of them were major ones that devastated the world at their own era. And it keeps on coming. Bird flu, Ebola, cholera, HIV, and now COVID-19. It's a relentless battle between the organisms that share our world. This struggle is far from new. Microorganisms and humans have been engaged in a survival tug-of-war since our existence on this planet began. But these are the times when we are at our strongest. In fact, this is the humanity's most fortified defense in all of history. Though it may not seem that way because the news focus more on disasters, fear, and death, our strength lies in the dedication of countless individuals. Doctors, nurses, and many brave souls stand on the front lines, fighting an invisible enemy. Our ability to traverse the globe quickly and efficiently allows us to reach even the remotest corners to provide aid. We possess thinking machines that guides us toward innovative solutions. When nature strikes, we strike back, with syringes, gloves, masks, and the unwavering resolve of heroic individuals who refuse to rest or give up. They persistently strive to understand the threats we face and offer us a way out. We fight for one another, providing food and shelter to those in need. We persevere in our quest for a better, healthier world, where we conquer diseases and eventually venture into the stars to ensure the continuity of our species. We will survive, just as we have for thousands of years. When it feels like the world is crumbling around us, we need to remember this. There is more quiet goodness in this world than loud evil. And those good people are the true pillars of our civilization. I really, truly believe that with all my heart. If you listened to me this far, Thank you. Take care of yourselves. Calm down and stay safe. Goodbye for now.